Fantastic, isn't it? This little car is a 1988 BMW 325i convertible. The car is part of the E30 series, as I just said, and the E30 series was made in a series of convertibles, sedans, coupes, and of course your wagons. Now, different things, of course, in the 80s made this car come about. Now, BMW before this had great success with the 2002 series line of cars, the TII, a couple of different things with that, and then a car a lot of people don't know about called the Bavaria. Bavaria later became the 5 series. Bavaria was, of course, your standard family sedan that was kind of a driver as well. Now, the E30 spawned outside of the 80s because it was the age of excess. So you had Wall Street booming, Reagan and Reaganomics were out and about, and people were just generally successful as they do in a time like that. And so then came a car like this. So people wanted it, and it's a fantastic little car. Now, it had some competition, but not much. These days, of course, the E30 is very much sought after, but at this time, it came out of a time when a little car needed to be economical, but it could also be fun to drive. BMW didn't have much of a foundation at that time, so they kind of needed to find a niche. They did. Now, BMW E30 is also one of the few convertibles that was actually an in-house product. Normally they kind of surfaced out, much like Volkswagen did with Carmen, and Cadillac actually did with Pininfarina. Mercedes-Benz did with Carmen as well, but the E30 is actually a factory convertible. Now, the little car was penned by Klaus Lufs, and he was part of the NSU design, and he was responsible for penning the NSU NO80. And then, of course, after that, Cadillac Alante came out, and then also Bruno Sacco of Mercedes-Benz fame did a lot of the penning for this car as well.
Now we can talk about the mechanicals of this lovely E30 chassis. This car came in 4 motor variations to the US, one being the 318, which was the 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, and then we had 3 variations of inline 6 cylinders in this car. One being the 320, which is a great little car, but it's not as exciting as this one, which is the 325i. And then there's the 325e, which is for economy and being efficient, and that's just boring, so we're just gonna put that over there. This is the 325i. It has a 2.5 liter inline 6 producing 170 horsepower, which may not sound like much, but it's okay because the E30 is a light car. It only weighs about 2,600 pounds, and it has perfect 50-50 weight distribution, meaning you're always prepared for a corner. So they took that lovely combination of weight and power and they added suspension, which is soft enough to haul your grandma around in, but still firm enough to take on any corner possible, which means if you want to take grandma for a wild ride, she'll have a hard time sitting up straight. This engine, the M20 2.5 liter inline 6, is the engine that Mobil 1 used for their million-mile oil test commercial thing. They probably sold a lot of oil because of that commercial, but it's all due to BMW's perfect engineering when it comes to the M20. This engine will go forever, and it will never leave you on the side of the road, as long as you maintain it and keep it topped up with all its fluids. The 325i, having just 2.5 liters, was still miles ahead of the Mercedes 190, which had 2.6 liters and didn't really cut the mustard. This car performed flawlessly, and it outperformed any other car in its class. BMW struck gold when they built this car, and that's really all I have to say about the 325i. So with that, we're going to move on to the driving dynamic, which is due to the lovely mechanicals. Now, to tackle the driving dynamic of the iconic BMW E30. This car really did blow away every other car in its era, and it performs brilliantly on the road. It handles literally any corner. Literally an hour ago, we were trying to find a good place to film. Luckily, we landed here at a winery. But we were blasting through the mountains well above the speed limit, and it never had a problem. Not even close. We didn't even... I don't even know. It's unfathomable how well it worked.
It amazes me how well these cars are put together. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic, and As Zeb mentioned, the mechanicals, of course, BMW is near and dear to my heart for various reasons. But Mercedes-Benz is one of my favorite all-time cars. And it's true. I mean, this little bugger smeared Mercedes-Benz all over the wall when it came out. For obvious reasons. I mean, you could just tell there's subtle hints, but look at the wheels. They're cambered inwards. And that was something like the old Volkswagen Beetles used to lift them up in the air and their wheels would tuck underneath them. Well, they handle like they would. They'd fall over. These cars, not so much. They sit there like a little bulldog.
You can take a 30-year-old BMW, you can throw it into a corner at well over the speed limit, and it will get you out on the other side, and nothing will have fallen off in the middle.
Well, aside from the passenger falling off.
Yeah, if you take grandma around a corner too quick on the way to the grocery store, you're gonna have problems.
Help, I've fallen and I can't get up.
If you take grandma around a corner in a BMW E30 on the way to the grocery store, make sure she has life alert because she's gonna need it. Well, the driving dynamic of this car is simply brilliant, and that's all there is to say about it. Case closed.
I'm going to be talking a little bit about another sector that Kingly Cars is about, and that's all about collection and moving on of these cars, and of course the investment that you would have in a motor vehicle. Now, an E30 these days is certainly a collector's car, but you need to do it right. You need to find yourself a car that shines up well, and you need to find yourself a car that's a sturdy little bugger. These cars don't do well with rust. Of course, a northern car or anything like that, they just fall to pieces and their strut towers go through themselves because of rot, so you'll need to find one that doesn't. But as of the moment, these cars are appreciating like nobody's business. They made a 325i as well as a 320i, and of course the M3 of the E30 series. If you find an M3 E30 series, prepare to spend big bucks, as they are going through the roof at the moment. If you find one of these cars, or even the 320i, they're still appreciating quite well, but you can still get one slightly affordable. The E series of these cars, which was made for efficiency, hence the E, those cars were a little bit more affordable at that time, so thenceforth they keep dropping and they're not worth much these days, but you could probably find a decent runner for daily driving. That's not necessarily going to be a fortune. As far as restoration, parts are available really everywhere, and actually BMW dealerships all across the United States still carry parts, or some of the parts for these, if not most of them. Now, as I mentioned, investing in these cars, investing in any BMWs, can be a flippant idea. Some of them with a lot more of the electronics, not so great, but the E30 series, absolutely rock solid as far as your investment's concerned, and fantastic little car to get a great return on. If you're just looking to collect something, again, just leave it around for a few years, and like a good bottle of wine, it tends to age pretty well. So that's been the E30. Kingly Cars here, and if you're interested in getting into a Kingly car, I gotta say, Kingly idea. So, like, share, subscribe, do things, keep up with us, do all sorts of fun things, because guess what? We're gonna keep on keeping on, and you're gonna see a lot more, not of this little guy, but of some other things we've got up our sleeves. And that's it. Enjoy. Put your feet down.